Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Urban Legends video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's continue this here with regards to some new urban legends to share from the website urbanlegendsonline.com. I'm still having a lot of fun sharing these particular urban legends, and there seems to be a lot of positive feedback on it too, so why not? Why not do another one while I'm continuing your aliens and UFO suggestions? Two of these are actually classics. I've heard of some of them. I've heard of variations associated with them. The third one, though, is something that I don't quite grasp. Like, I'm thinking several things all at once, and maybe I'm wrong on all of them. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this one, and then see like what I'm thinking wrong with regards to it. But once again, it's from the website urbanlegendsonline.com. The first one is called Choking Doberman. The next one is called Alligators in the Sewer. And then the one that confuses me is the one that's called Blow-Dried Bunny. So without further ado, let's share it here. I'll give my thoughts and opinions. I'd love to hear what your own comments are as well. So Choking Doberman is the first one. Here's what it says. A woman returned from work and found her large dog, a Doberman, lying on the floor, gasping for air. Concerned over the animal's welfare, she immediately loaded the pet into her car and drove him to a veterinarian. The vet examined the dog, but finding no reason for his breathing difficulties, announced that he'd have to perform a tracheotomy and insert tubes down the animal's throat so he could breathe. He explained that it wasn't anything she'd want to watch and urged the woman to go home and leave the Doberman there overnight. When the woman returned home, the phone was ringing off the hook. She answered it and was surprised to discover that it was the vet. Even more surprising was his message. He said, "Get out of the house immediately, go to the neighbors, and call the police." It seems that when the vet performed the operation, he found a very grisly reason for the dog's breathing difficulty. 3 human fingers were lodged in its throat. Concerned that the person belonging to the dismembered fingers might still be in the house, he phoned to warn the woman. According to the story, police arrived at her house and found an unconscious intruder, sans fingers, lying in a closet. Then that's it. That's everything associated with the urban legend of the Choking Doberman. I'm sure some of you already are thinking, I've heard of this one before, right? But sometimes there's variations of it. Sometimes it's another way, like it's another animal, it's another trip to a different location, and there they discover the same thing. Like the animal has fingers within it, and so when that happens, they call the woman, and then that way they alert her that somebody is still in the house. I've heard another version of it where instead of the intruder being found in a closet, they were found underneath a bed. Like, I've heard of that version as well. But let me know what you guys and gals think. Have y'all heard of this classic? And if so, what version was it altogether? And then also with regards to this story, what's interesting is that it wouldn't really play today because it seems like at the time that this urban legend began, who knows if it began from some newspaper article or something, it was at a time when people had home phones. Like, they didn't have cell phones is what it seemed like. And so she was able to get home first, and then she heard the phone ringing, as opposed to today. Anybody could just call you immediately, right? You don't even have to be off the block when it comes to the veterinarian office to find that out. So it would be a whole different story today. Next one is a little bit shorter, but again, it's a classic. I've definitely heard it. Again, it's called The Alligators in the Sewers. Here's what it says. It used to be a trend for parents returning home from Florida vacations to bring back small baby alligators for their children to raise as pets, particularly in New York. Once the babies grew up, they were no longer cute or convenient. So, to get rid of them, New Yorkers resorted to flushing the little guys down the toilet. Now, some of these washed-up gators survived in the city's sewer system and began to breed. Now, there are full-grown alligators living under the streets of Manhattan. It's been said that the animals are blind and albino, having lost their eyesight and the pigment in their hides because they live in constant darkness. And then another variation of it says the alligators grew to monstrous sizes and are now mutants. Then that's it. That's everything associated with the short but sweet urban legend. Yes, I have heard this one in the past. I probably read it in a Reader's Digest somewhere. Who knows? But it was something that similarly followed this, where somehow people had baby alligators in their possession. They got too big, so they flushed them down the toilet. Or in other cases, they threw them straight in the sewers, like whenever it comes to those openings towards the side of the streets themselves. And of course, the alligators then are supposed to have grown up there in the sewers, multiplied. And I have heard of that version about them becoming mutants because of whatever chemicals are down there in the sewers, and then that's why apparently people go missing in New York because the alligators are there roaming about the sewers, and sometimes they come out or they snatch people and so on. But I think this one is a classic, but again, more on the fake side. We would definitely in today's world have enough people with cell phones to capture something, especially in New York City, like this city that never sleeps, right? People are going to be walking about here and there any time of the day or night, and they're going to see an alligator somewhere, and so they're going to capture that footage, and we would have seen it by now. Now, the last one is a new one to me. Some of you may have heard it. I have no idea, but I'm still scratching my head about what it means. It's called blow-dried bunny, and here's what it means, or here's what it says. So a man walked into his garden one day to find his dog with a piece of dirty fur in its mouth. Examination proved that the dirty piece of fur was actually a prize rabbit belonging to the neighbor. It was very dead, although no obvious injury could be seen. The man was horrified and felt terrible, so he took the rabbit inside, shampooed and blow-dried it, then quickly snuck next door to put it back in the hutch before the neighbor got home. A few days went by and he heard nothing. Then on the weekend he was talking over the fence to his neighbor, who he said that a strange thing had happened to him that week. When he came home from work one night, he found his prize rabbit dead in its hutch. "Oh no," says the man, "how awful." And so the neighbor said, "That's not the strange part. What's weird is that it had died earlier that morning and I buried it before going to work." And then that's it. That's everything associated with the blow-dried bunny. So let's talk about that here. Again, this is new to me, but the way I interpret it and the way I'm confused on it, when the neighbor said that it had died early in the morning and I buried it before going to work, first impression, and maybe I'm biased when it comes to the ghosts and spirits world, did the bunny come back to life? Like, did it actually come up from the ground itself and the dog found it? And then that's where the dog in turn, I guess, killed it and then brought it over to the owner, and then the owner discovered it and so on. Was that it? I mean, that's the impression that I got. The other thing I can think of is that somehow, some way, and this is even more far-fetched to me, the dog was able to go into the neighbor's yard and then there was somehow able, even though the bunny was dead and buried under who knows how many feet, was able to dig up the bunny and then use that to be able to, I guess, present it to the owner. Is that what happened? Again, I'm a little confused because when he said that the bunny had died earlier that morning, it gives me no idea of when the dog found it. Was it after that morning? Was it before? Who knows? But either way, though, let me know. Let me know what you guys and gals think on that. Am I thinking too much into it? Either way, I'd love to hear what your interpretation is. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.